Welcome back. This is the second part of our newspaper review. Right now, it's all about seizing the constitutional moment as it stands. We also have a question of the day after the handover of the BBI report yesterday. Even as we wait for it, let's have it up on screen. Is the BBI the solution to achieving national unity? It's been spoken about for quite a while. Matters inclusivity, cooling political temperatures. So is the BBI the solution to achieving national unity? The WhatsApp number is at the bottom of the screen. You can also tweet me at I am Jeff Mote or at K24 TV. In studio, joined by Dr. Ekuru Aukot. We also have Honorable Jeremiah Kioni. Joining the conversation virtually, Honorable Priscilla Nyokavi also on this one. And one thing that was always mentioned every single time was this divisive election. And everybody agrees, really, this is where the rubber meets the road every single time. We went into the break and a story that's on page 9 of the Daily Nation, elections team to be kicked out before 2022 in this particular proposals. And something I'd asked you, gentlemen, was the fact that from a commission point of view, as far as elections concerned, I don't know if there's an Africa problem or something unique to Kenya. The commission will never get it right. Samuel Kuvito tried and even at one point said he doesn't know who the winner is. Isaac Hassan came in, had the same problem. We had them being camps to be sent home. Chebukati has come in facing the same hurdle. How do we deal with this? Because we talk about independence of institutions, but you never get it right here, Dr.
You know, Jeff, first of all, and that's why I said earlier, if you read this report, and I've done a quick read through it, and I will still read it keenly. In fact, it paints the political class as the angels. You know, it talks about other things, but nothing about how to hold political class accountable. Specifically on the question of the IEBC, the Electoral Management Body. In fact, since I think 1997, if I'm not wrong, or 1992, we have always had a different electoral management body managing our elections. And why? Because you have got individuals that are interested in a certain outcome of an election. And those individuals are always the ones who run for the presidency. And let me give you an example. 2013, there was a presidential petition. 2017, the same thing. And at the center of crucifixion was the IEBC, or the Electoral Management Body. But you will never hear the same political class say, I've got X number of senators, X number of governors, X number of MPs, MCAs, women rep, who are declared winners by that same IEBC. And you will never see them say, I want to resign my position because I do not trust the manner in which that IEBC actually conducted that election. So there is dishonesty here with members of with the political class. And it's a few politicians who actually have perpetrated this narrative over time to the extent that they have become just perennial, crybabies of an outcome of an election. So if we don't, and this is again the misnomer, we are talking about independence of institution. But at the same time, we are saying political parties now nominate commissioners to supervise an election. So where is the independence? That's a misnomer. Okay, let me get in a politician as well who's saying she's feeling a bit cold, left out of the heat being generated in studio. As far as this conversation is concerned, we'll be having Priscilla back in the conversation in just a bit once we get her back on. Jeremiah, I'll come to you because you're the very politicians who change the commissioners, sweep them all out, bring a new team, and then say the same new team hasn't delivered.
I have said I am a supporter of this BBI report, and we continue reading like Dr. has said. Let me own up. This is an issue that we had really thought through as a committee. In fact, it was the first item we picked as CIOC and wondered how can we help the country move forward. Why? Because we thought at that time, that early point, the politicians were not keen on the composition of the commissioners because they were concentrating on other issues. And it was actually the time to fix it. But when you now start fixing the IEBC a couple of days before we are due for elections, there will not be any difference between the political commissioner or the IEBC commissioner and the political agent I will be picking. I will be looking for that person who can actually throw papers or burn papers, burn ballots, make sure that they are now not counted if we can sense we are losing. I mean, we are looking for, and it is clearly said, the political parties are loyalty-based institutions. It's put here clearly. So when you now give me an opportunity as the leader of a political party to pick commissioners, I will only pick those who are totally loyal to me, not those who are professional from my grouping in terms of managing things on behalf of anybody else. But those who are totally loyal to me, I think this is one area, even as we look at all the other issues, this is one area that I would ask that we look at it before we allow the this BBI report to move to the next stage. What have we again done? I've just said that one of the things, in my opinion, that ails this country is that very, very intense political competition, because we want to determine who is the head of state in this country. But now we have made it every 4 years, we must sit to compete every time to see who am I putting at the table, because that person may eventually determine the eventual outcome. As opposed to having professionals who have become thick-skinned, I honestly don't see what is the problem with Chebukati and his other two commissioners. They have held together. They have conducted by-elections. We have not had an issue with any of the by-elections. I think it would have been easier to allow professionalism and a little bit of thick skin to develop, so that even as you come in, they already can see what you are coming to do as a political party. The issue, and I can tell you that we have a bill that we prepared that early. We did it. It is lying on the floor of the House. It has never gone beyond second reading. And what were we saying? That we should avoid the issue of bringing political parties to determine the commissioners, because we are the players. Now we want to compete as to who the referees are. I think having other bodies bring in people to arbitrate between political parties would have been better. Forget about the number of commissioners or the number of members of parliament that we have. Forget about the expanding of the executive. I have no problem with it. But again, if we take the competition to where we have, I don't know why we have forgotten so quickly. We have never agreed on the commissioners. We always throw them in, and the other one throws theirs in, and then we say, go and sort it out. I think we have this particular aspect, we have missed it. BBI team has missed it. And the people who sat to think through this did not use history. They didn't sit. I cannot see the wisdom of the older people who have seen what this country has gone through in this particular aspect of the IEBC. Honestly, I think we have put ourselves back to square one.
That's been a problem. Let me get Priscilla in on this one as well. As a politician, you can see usually the matter and the rubber meets the road every single time when you get to the election, and the commissioners are hard-pressed because they are damned if they do, damned if they don't. They never get it right. How do we solve this particular problem with the IEBC and have a truly independent commission so that whatever result comes out of this commission, you will accept it as Priscilla, Jeff Mott will accept it, and we move on from that particular space of electioneering?
What happened is the conversation we are having on the IEBC started with BBI 1, the report in November. And the report in November has the notable issues and the problems of the country. The main one being a trust deficit. We are a country with very, very high levels of trust deficit. We don't trust each other. And we have divisive elections as well. So you can imagine combining the deficit in trust together with divisive elections and also lack of stability. And so coming from that conversation, part of increasing the confidence in IEBC was then having the political players come and play a role in the selection, not even in the selection, in identifying people who can serve as commissioners. And the idea is that 4 of those commissioners, the number is 7, again, avoiding 9, because 9 is what Mheshimiwa Kioni is saying. It means every province you bring one of your own. Now at 7, all 45 communities cannot have a commissioner. So we all have to agree on the 7. The 4 by political parties, the parliamentary political parties, which are about 10 to 15, means that the 10 parliamentary political parties have now to find a way of bringing 4, and there is still a selection panel. But the idea is confidence. The idea is dealing with the trust deficit. And election is not just for political parties. The other 3 commissioners represent the other Kenyans and other professionals. And the 4-year term, instead of removing the commissioners and killing the commission after every election, let us have it in an organized way. You come as a commissioner, you serve your 4-year term, and then you leave the commission having served. Okay. And the parliamentary political parties is a confidence-building mechanism to deal with the trust deficit. Otherwise, the independence of the commission, all of the other Chapter 15 protections have not been affected. The Chapter 15 protections continue to exist as far as the Commission is concerned. But remember where we are starting from. Trust deficit, national ethos, strengthening institutions, bringing in persons who serve the country as opposed to serving partisan political interests that will have brought them on board.
Okay.
So if you combine all of those measures, then you are much more likely to have a commission like IEC. Do you remember the song, Tusirudie Yale Makosa? And I like that Ekuru is here. After 2007, nobody believed that Kenyans would register as voters again. It is the commission that Ekuru and team gave us that helped us to recover from 2007 and register for the referendum. And we actually did register for the referendum. We are hoping to recapture, and the BBI should recapture that particular commission.
Okay, Priscilla, there's a quick rejoinder to what you've just said from Honorable Kioni as well.
I hear her, and I sympathize with that, because that is the position. We have gone through that debate in Parliament. And one of the things that you have to appreciate, when you are in Parliament, what are political parties? Political parties vote in terms of the numbers, in terms of the votes they garnered. So when you talk about parliamentary political parties, you're only talking of two. All the others that have 2, 3, 4 members have really no say, because PSC, which is being given this mandate to do this, is composed of people, of members of parliament who come from the political parties with the most number of people or the most number of votes. So you have actually monopolized IEBC through this process. You're actually saying that party that produces the president, the party that produces the prime minister, and the party that will produce the leader of opposition are the only two political parties that will forever determine who sits in IEBC. This is not inclusivity. If it is a question of trust, deficit in trust, and Nyokavia said, true, we have it. But it is something also that we have allowed to build over time. If you ask people, I'm certain there is quite a number of Kenyans who have now developed trust in those people who have managed it before, because they have seen it. There was the emotions that were around the elections when it came out, and we said these people have mismanaged. But over time, you can actually say this gentleman has the capacity to handle this issue. But bringing 4 people, bringing commissioners for every other term, I think this one is actually the weakest link in this BBI report. This issue.
In fact, Jeff, let me also add to what Mheshimiwa Kioni said. What is IEBC? IEBC is not just the commissioners. IEBC is its entire institution, including the secretariat. The commissioners actually don't oversee, they oversee election generally, but they also don't count the votes. You have got presiding officers, returning officers, and all that. So we are reducing, we are being simplistic in discussing IEBC in the context of just the commissioners. Okay. Let's look at the entire infrastructure of IEBC. For example, like Mheshimiwa Kioni is saying, every 4 years, we are changing commissioners. We are actually weakening that institution. Just like, for example, you can see, like, and I'm happy Mheshimiwa Kioni is from the majority party now in Parliament. Look at even what has happened to Parliament in the last couple of months. Right. The choreography around leadership. Because it's being controlled by, say, 2 individuals, President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. They are weakening that Parliament. That Parliament today has actually ceased to be independent. They are working on the whims of the former Prime Minister or the President himself. So it's not a Parliament that, one, represents the people of Kenya, legislates, and calls government into account. It's not doing that anymore. And that's why you can see the choreography, again, in BBI is to increase the number of parliamentarians so that they can owe allegiance to the party with the majority. Today we are talking about a proposal about 454 members of parliament, plus another 94 senators. That is a parliament of what? 558. And remember, it comes with a cost. Even today as we speak, Mheshimiwa Kioni can confirm to you that parliament today in Kenya with 48 members, you know, is costing Kenyan taxpayers 37.5 billion Kenya shillings annually. 37.5 billion. Meanwhile, we are not even able to provide the ordinary Kenyan a mask of 20 bob. Because of COVID-19.
Let's get on that particular issue as well. And I want to get Priscilla in. You're a commissioner in the National Gender and Equality Commission. One of the possible changes we'll see in the report, having a male and female senator from each of the counties, scrapping the women reps position as well, having some constituencies that will have both a male and female MP, Is this a solution moving forward? Because we do know right now, even Parliament hangs in the balance in terms of dissolution because of not being able to deal with this two-thirds gender issue. Is this how we solve this once and for all?
There is a good effort at gender parity and also moving towards the two-thirds gender rule. The Senate is our biggest win, and that there's a lot of celebration around that in the sense of balance of power and the numbers. And I like that in the Punguza Mzigo, although we didn't agree with everything, that was one of the proposals that we also supported. That
which Priscilla never supported.
Person and, one man and one woman elected from every county. The thing is, Jeff, that with that, you now have 50% in terms of one house. And then you get the balance for the two-thirds in the National Assembly. Between the two houses, so that you don't consider each separately, you consider the entire parliament. Make sure that the women are two-thirds in the entire parliament. But what we are liking most about the Senate is the ability now to vote for the 35% of resources that are going to be for the counties. And women now have an equal right to vote for that 35% of resources. We are also happy about the governor and deputy governor. Remember, at the county level, they also have to be of opposite gender. That also is quite a celebration. The 360 candidates, by the way, the National Assembly total is 360. And then the Senate is 94. In the 360, parties have been required to provide a list of candidates that is two-thirds compliant. So that is 120 women from each of the main political parties contesting. We are quite celebratory of those, but there is a meeting today by women leaders trying to just digest, the holistic reading. Okay. We also don't want to be caught up by not reading holistically. So we are meeting today to holistically read the document and then issue a statement around the gains that women have made.
Okay.
But in terms of the conversation, what I like about the document and what I liked about Kisi yesterday is that the conversation has begun. So not everything is perfect, but the conversation is on the table, and we all engage in the conversation. And women are preparing to engage in the conversation in a big way.
Okay, fantastic stuff.
Let me say this, and we are here because kidogo tumekuwako na tumeona hii maneno. Now we are going to read this document holistically, so that we are not taken like that. But I'm saying, what are we trying to do? We are trying to calm down the electoral violence that comes and the tension that comes around elections time. Without having sorted out that, all the other proposals that we are doing, we are not likely to benefit from them, because what we want to do eventually, in my understanding, is that we want a country that can grow economically at 10%, 20% for a period of 20, 30 years. That we will have sorted out the issue of the young people who are unemployed. And I'm saying this, with the way that we have decided to reconstitute IEBC, we could easily lose that game all over again.
Okay.
What gain do we have? If we pass this IEBC, this BBI thing the way it is, and we are happy with it, and then eventually when we come to 2022, 2022, yes, again we are in the streets throwing tear gas. We'll have lost all the energy that we have spent 5 years. And I am thinking we have to pay attention to this IEBC thing. The way it is, and I want to be on record, it is not well thought out. This is a very dangerous thing.
Okay, we have,
and by the way,
we have 3-4 minutes to go, gentlemen.
The other important point, even as we read the BBI report, I think one of the things that also disturbs my mind is that we are being chaperoned into a monolithic thinking, that this country is all about just BBI. There are other proposals, there are other people with views. And one of the problems I have with BBI process, even as we discussed, is the manner in which it has divided this country more than united, especially the so-called top political class. In fact, as people, many Kenyans have asked the question, if BBI cannot even unite some 3 people at the very top there, how can it unite Kenyans? Because today, if you have a divergent opinion or different opinion against BBI, you are being seen as a political enemy. Look at the political class; it's not united, and let's not lie to Kenyans. In fact, the foundational philosophy of BBI was to try and bring Kenyans together. Right. Build the bridges. But the truth for the matter is, this BBI has broken more bridges than even built it. And for me, and there are people who are actually championing that disunity, including, for example, even the tone yesterday. The tone yesterday at the launch, one will imagine it's a Mashujaa Day, let's celebrate our heroes, even as we usher this report, let's have a reconciliatory tone. It is not there. And wait, I'm not a prophet of doom, neither am I the son of one, But I can tell you, in the coming weeks, coming months, you will see more disunity over this document. And I wish we could actually discuss this document soberly, but also alongside other ideas like Punguza Mizigo Kenya.
Okay.
As I agree with that.
One second,
Honorable
Kioni and Dr. Ekuru, let me play moderator.
Just one thing to say this, to say that I agree quickly that without doubt, Raila and DP would certainly want to put different, because of what they would want to get
at the end
2022. That is without doubt. But I wish we can be able to debate this thing outside that competition that is going to be there. There's little we can do about it. These are very, very,
and definitely we should go the Madagascar way.
It's very difficult to discuss, but all I've said it outside what they are. If we can be able to deal with this document, having kept them there, will certainly be moving.
And
so
okay, gentlemen, because you have 3 minutes, I have to bring Priscilla in on this one, because it won't end here, and I want to have Priscilla to come in also, even as she weighs in on this particular one. As it stands, Priscilla, and you can see the questions being asked. When people thinking about the economy, seeing the fact that there's more disunity down the road with this particular document, as politicians take aside and really beat the drums to make sure their side is heard. Are we doing this all wrong? How do we try and save this particular document and not throw the baby out to the bathwater? Because clearly sides are being picked, and it's not unity that's being brought by people picking different divergent sides.
Well, I think the idea is to protect the baby. And you know, in Kenya, we give birth to a lot of babies who we then proceed to kill soon after birth. So this needs to be one of those times when we allow the baby to grow. And the reason I'm saying that is in November, the same fears were on the table before the launch of the BBI in Bomas in November. And we actually did see the president, the deputy president, and the prime minister, all of them together with the Tanzanian guest. And so we as a country, and Ekuru knows from the civil society, we are a resilient country. We have risen above some of these divisions. And I remain optimistic that given the report, given that there is nothing to fight in the content, the political divisions that we see are going to get less, because what will happen is have the BBI, let the BBI baby grow, and then deal with 2022. What is complicating the situation is merging BBI and 2022. But if we have BBI as a beautiful baby, allow the baby to grow, the midwives and the mothers and the fathers allow the baby to grow. And then 2022, we will come and then have now political contestations after we have stabilized the electoral system using the BBI. So Monday there will be a better, Monday there will be more unity. Mothers and fathers will be together on Monday.
Priscilla, you'll wait and see what happens on Monday. Thanks for that. Ekuru, I also want you to address the issue. Does PMK, does Punguza Mzigo Kenya make a comeback?
Oh, yes, definitely. Punguza Mzigo Kenya will have a comeback because it's already in there. In fact, we are about 900,000 plus endorsements. And for me, that's why I think let's give Kenyans a choice. That's one of the reasons I'm opposed to BBI is because it's a monolithic thinking, even with all the attendant problems. In fact, if you want BBI, and I want to challenge Priscilla here, if you want BBI actually, if we want to allow BBI to crawl as that baby that she's proposing, let's go the Madagascar way. Some political class must be stopped from participating in the public space. As Uhuru Kenyatta goes 2022, let him go with Raila Amolo Odinga, William Ruto, and some of those politicians who are actually bringing disunity and heightening tensions in this country. They did that in Madagascar, and they realized a lot of peace. True or false, Mheshimiwa?
Okay.
Because
as you look at the sweeteners, let me say this. That would be a great thing. You remember even what Mwai Kibaki did? He said, put my name in the constitution. I'm not interested. Just like the president was trying to do. I wish we can be able to, if that was to happen, I tell you we'll be able to discuss this thing more.
Then the baby will crawl. And even
but I don't want
10 seconds. I need to finish this in 10 seconds.
Consider to lose this.
Yes.
I see the sweeteners. It is a number of women who are coming on board. But the women on board will not be useful if we cannot have a useful IEBC. If there is a way of going back and looking at this IEBC the way we've done it, this is a recipe for disaster again in this country.
Okay, that's
Priscilla and those who have worked on this, please listen to Kenyans. You cannot do this to IEBC again. We are back to
Let's
square
leave
zero.
Chebukati and the rest of the commissioners to all the next election and even beyond. After their term expires, then I think we can think of a new commission. But for now, let's not disrupt the referee.
Okay, that's where we leave it as far as it's concerned. Quite a heated debate, and we don't even have the report. We'll wait for Monday. Priscilla Nyokabi, Commissioner at the National Gender and Equality Commission, thank you so much. We shall pick this debate on Monday and see how we save the baby, as you say. Dr. Ekuro Okot, thank you so much for your time as well in studio. Also, Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, thank you so much for making time to be in studio. Of course, this is where we wind up our conversation today. We'll wait for the report on Monday, take it up from there. We take a short break. We're back on the other side as we get interactive. Good morning.